here actually read a book? Or better yet, how many of us don't read a book? Because they believe it's too boring or they think movies are more engaging. Okay, I personally dislike every single one of you. I'm just kidding, you guys are awesome. But really, I have this thing against people who don't like reading. And I'll explain to you why exactly I have that and why I'm going to convince you guys to start reading books. First of all, I hope everyone knows what a book looks like, right? If you don't, these are books. So, according to the website Wired.com, which is basically a website for electronic gossip and nerdy kind of things like the iPad and Apple, Steve Jobs actually had something to say right about this topic. He was talking about ebooks. Everyone knows what those are, right? He says, and I quote, "It doesn't matter how good or bad the product is. The fact is people don't read anymore." He said 40% of the people in the US alone read one book or less in 1 year. The whole conception is flawed at the top because people don't read anymore. He said it twice. That's enough to convince me. First thing is, what does reading do for you? Just in general. Do you know that reading improves memory? Because the constant repetition of, you did a major in psychology, so the constant repetition of encoding does actually work out that way. It improves your writing. How many of you over here have problems filling up the word count in your essays? Right. A lot of you are really good writers. So, just so you know, writers themselves are all avid readers. Even like J.K. Rowling of the Harry Potter series. I chose that because everyone's familiar with it. She's admitted to being an avid reader of his name is Roddy Doyle. And her favorite book is Emma by Jane Austen. And you can see the imagination she has is intense. It has nothing to do with either of those books. It's just she learned to write from reading other books. And of course, it increases your imagination. It challenges it. Your imagination is important. Albert Einstein himself once said, "Knowledge is not the true sign of intelligence. Imagination is." So we already know, as a result, you get basic benefits from reading. The second argument is, why should you read instead of watching movies, for example? Go for it. Reading is an art. That's what I wanted to say. And how many of you are artists here, be it a stage performer or a painter or maybe just a writer as well, just any kind of art? Why do you do what you do? Who's a painter here, just for example? Why do you paint? Do you just paint with the design in mind, I want to draw a flower, or do you want to say something?
Express it.
You want to express your feelings. And why can't you just tell someone here, what you're feeling? You can't get it out, right?
Sometimes it's stronger when you paint.
Exactly. You have so much in here, you can't get it out here. And because of that, you resort to different ways. Now, what's interesting about art and what's beautiful about it is nobody has the same mindset. For example, and nobody's more intelligent than the other. For example, 3 people, just put up your hand. Please stand up. Any 3 people, stand up, stand up, stand up. That's 3, it's fine. Anyone who wants to. It's fine. Do you all think that all 3 of you all have exactly the same brain pattern, exactly the same perception on every single thing? No. It's the same with everyone. Art is always interpreted differently. And when you interpret it differently, it gives you your own perception, your own personality. The same thing you said about writing. When an author writes a book, you interpret differently. You can sit down. You interpret it differently. And the way you interpret it is what brings the magic to reading. If you watch a movie, the movie is somebody else's perception of the book. And when you watch the movie and criticize it, it's your perception about somebody else's perception about somebody else's you do not want to go through with this because you'd be criticizing your belief in a false assumption, more or less. So, in conclusion for my second argument, what I want to say is it's the only way to develop your own perceptions and personalities. Yeah. My point here was, as you can see, this person is saying something, and he doesn't really understand what he's saying. Oh, go back. Third argument, why should you read? You will become more aware and more intelligent. Does anyone doubt this? Okay, when you read, you get a higher level of perception. How many of you have seen these know-it-all people say things which you know are wrong, but at the same time you just can't argue with them because they just deflect your questions in an irritating manner? Do you know these people have just got a bit more knowledge because they're reading? They are not more intelligent than you. In fact, if anything, the fact that you have noticed you don't like what they're saying shows you have a high sign of intelligence, every one of you. Why would you deny yourself the privilege of letting others take advantage of you over situations similar to that by just refusing to read? If you read, you automatically become more perceptive, more challenging, more intelligent. I don't want to say intelligent because it's a strong word, it makes other people look like they're not intelligent, but that's what I meant. And most importantly, you will not type like this. You will have extensive vocabulary, which, I don't know, just makes you look more refined. Just to talk about. In conclusion, my point is, you might feel that books are more tiresome, and I might agree with you to an extent, but they definitely have much more to offer than just a movie, or please don't talk to me about audiobooks. Those are just, have no bearing whatsoever. So I hope all of you, next time you'll decide a book is too long or something, think twice. Look at the book, read it. What are you supposed to do now, guys?
Read.
Right, pick up a book and you read it.